Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the League Two Transfer Roundup. In today's video, we're going to go through all the business that has been completed over the last 7 days. If you do go on to enjoy, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 120 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts down in the comment section down below. What do you believe has been the best piece of business completed over the last 7 days, and how would you assess your club's transfer business so far? We'll start out firstly then with Accrington Stanley, who brought in a left-back Freddie Sass, a 23-year-old from Kings Lynn, on a free transfer, and they've also brought in 23-year-old right midfielder Isaac Sinclair. Again, he's come in on a free transfer from Curzon Ashton. We know that Accrington like to do a lot of their business in non-league, the National League North, them type of leagues, to try and bring in younger players, develop them, sell them on for fees. That's kind of been their model for a number of years, so it'll be interesting to see how they do go about trying to cope with life in the EFL. And we also know that Seb Quirk has joined Sligo Rovers on a free transfer from Accrington Stanley. In terms of Barnet, they've made just the one signing, I believe, since we last spoke, and that was in the way of Romany Critchlow. Obviously, he was released by Bradford City at the end of his contract. Obviously, won promotion with the Bantams last season, and I do think it's a really good signing for Barnet. I mentioned in the full video that I did about Critchlow on Monday that his aerial presence and natural defensive abilities, that's not really his game, but in terms of technical ability, ball playing ability, there is not many better left-footed centre-halves in League Two now, and I do believe for a newly promoted side that is a real statement signing for Barnet. I don't think they've had any further departures. Joe Grimwood joined Chelmsford for an undisclosed fee, 23-year-old centre-half. I never really saw him making that step up into League Two. In terms of Barrow, they've brought in a 23-year-old goalkeeper, Ben Winterbottom. He's come in on a free transfer from Brentford. Don't really know too much about him, but as we know, Barrow did need to go about replacing Paul Farman this summer. They've only really got Will Stanway, who I'm not sure is ready to play 46 league games next year for Barrow, but it'll be interesting to see who does become Barrow's number one over the full campaign. And as we know, we saw a couple of departures, the likes of Dean Campbell turning down a new deal to sign for Northampton. I think that's a big loss for Barrow. He was very good, especially defensively, last campaign. And Kian Spence also turned down the new deal to sign for Rotherham United as well. So two pretty big blows there in terms of the midfield, but I think Barrow will be looking to hope that somebody like a Raheem Harper will be able to replace them. Barrow also saw the departure of forward Emil Aqua. He's made the move north of the border to Dundee FC for an undisclosed fee. 24 years of age, never really got much of a run of games with Barrow, but in the minutes that he had, never really proved that he was worth having that shot of having the run of games. So I think getting a fee in for him, I think it was announced by BBC Cumbria that it's £33,000 up front, and it could potentially rise to £100,000 with add-ons and all that sort of stuff. And I thought it was quite interesting to know about the sort of figures that we're talking about for a deal like Aqua, and sort of the money that's going around for Aqua to be a potentially £100,000 player. When you think of the likes of, I don't know, an Andy Cook, how much would he be worth, for example, or a Laurent Talai from last season? I just think them sort of figures would be very interesting to know. In terms of Bristol Rovers, I think today they're going to announce the signing of Alfie Kilgore, but it hasn't officially been done, so their only piece of business so far is bringing in Jack Sparks on a free transfer, but there is a load of clauses and sell-ons, all that sort of stuff in his contract. 24 years of age, left back, obviously signed for Peterborough on a 3-year deal. They paid quite a big fee for him last summer, went out on loan to Chesterfield and did quite well there. I think for a League Two left back, he'll be one of the best in the division next campaign. And in terms of departures, nothing has officially been confirmed at the time of recording. In terms of Bromley, they've brought in Kyle Cameron, a 28-year-old centre-half, on a free transfer. Spent last season out on loan at St Johnstone and then Barrow. Interesting that he's making the move all the way down south to Bromley to play in what is quite a direct style of play. Kyle Cameron recently has played in a lot of possession-based sides, but to now go the opposite way completely and play basically boom ball under Andy Woodman, I'm not 100% sure on that signing, to be honest. I don't think he's a great League Two defender. But Bromley haven't confirmed any further departures. In terms of Cambridge, they've brought in a 29-year-old midfielder, Don Ball. I believe he turned down a new contract with Leyton Orient. I think that's a smart pickup for Cambridge. Plenty of experience in that midfield, and they've also brought in Ben Purrington, a 29-year-old left-back, left centre-half who's been around the block over the last couple of years, recently been plying his trade with Exeter, and I think now is about the right time that he does make that step back down into League Two. They also brought in Ben Hughes, a 21-year-old goalkeeper, on a free transfer from Swansea's under-21s. Don't really know much about him, to be honest, but I think they have lost Marco Morosi. I don't think it's officially been confirmed at this point. Yes, Marco Morosi was released or turned down a new contract with the club, and I think he's going to sign for Port Vale. Midfielder Tom Pett has left Cheltenham Town on a permanent basis. I don't think I mentioned it in last week's episode, but he has obviously re-signed for the club that he was out on loan at last season. They are now a fellow League Two side, so we'll come on to that later on in today's video. In terms of Chesterfield, I don't think we mentioned the signing of Adam Lewis last week. He's obviously a 25-year-old left back who's come in from Morecambe, kind of as that Jack Sparks replacement. He was one of Morecambe's better performers last campaign, and I think that's a smart pickup for Paul Cook's side. They also brought in Ryan STIRK, a 24-year-old holding midfielder from Walsall, on a free transfer. Plenty of energy, can pop up with a goal or two every now and again, creates a decent amount of chances, but he's much more of a ball-winning midfielder, box-to-box, that energy type in there, and I think that'll prove to be a smart pickup. And they also brought in 25-year-old goalkeeper Zach Hemming on a undisclosed fee from Middlesbrough's under-21s. I think he was playing in Scotland last campaign, I want to say, and I do think that is a smart pickup for Paul Cook's side. In terms of departures, as we know, Ollie Banks turned down a new deal to sign for York. Ash Palmer, I think, also turned down a new deal to sign for York, and Kane Drummond has joined a fellow League Two side on a free transfer. In terms of Colchester United, they brought in Jaden Williams, a 20-year-old striker from Tottenham's under-21s. He's a name that I have heard of, don't really think he's played much senior football, but could that maybe hint that Samson Tavide is potentially on his way out the door? Lyle Taylor might not sign that new contract. In terms of Crawley Town, then, they've brought in Danny Cashman, a 24-year-old striker from Worthing. Scored a decent amount of goals, to be fair, in the non-league system and leagues over the last couple of years, and I think with him being from Crawley, being a Crawley fan, I do think that's a smart signing for Scott Lindsay's side. In terms of outgoings, we know that Toby Malarkey, I don't think we mentioned this in the last episode, obviously has signed for a fellow League Two side for an undisclosed fee. Armando Quaterno also left the club. He made the step back up into League One with Wycombe Wanderers for an undisclosed fee. 25-year-old attacking midfielder, I think was probably always going to be a little bit too good for League Two. Panucci Kamara, 28-year-old central midfielder, has joined Dundee for an undisclosed fee. He's massively struggled with injuries over the last couple of years. Went back to Crawley as kind of his club that he really started his career at, after having the moves to the likes of, I think he was at Plymouth for a bit, had some time with Charlton, I want to say, as well, and just unfortunately can't stay injury free, and obviously he's now made a step over to Scotland. And Rory Feely also has joined Cork City for an undisclosed fee. 28-year-old right back, again, he wasn't particularly great with Crawley last campaign. In terms of Crewe Alexandra, they've had no further incomings and no further outgoings as well. In terms of Fleetwood Town, I think we mentioned Toby Malarkey actually in last week's episode, so we'll move on from him. In terms of departures, Phoenix Patterson, a 24-year-old left winger, has joined Stevenage for an undisclosed fee, making that step back up into League One. I think a real smart signing for Stevenage. Bit of a blow for Fleetwood. I think he got well into double figures for goal contributions last campaign, so they'll be looking to other options now to find that creativity again once more. In terms of Gillingham, again, at the time of recording, they've not officially confirmed anything, but Sam Vokes, it looks like he's going to be joining the club very soon. Grimsby Town confirmed the signing of 23-year-old left-back REECE Staunton from Spennymoor Town for an undisclosed fee. Obviously, former Bradford City man, made the step into the non-league system a couple of years ago. He got his most amount of minutes really in a Bradford City shirt in that behind closed doors season where he played on the left of a back three, and I think will be a really smart signing for Grimsby. Played as a centre half, was then now has recently been playing as a left back, and I think got 16 assists last campaign, which is an incredible return. The strong rumours that Jamie Walker could be on his way to join the Mariners as well very soon. In terms of departures for Grimsby, nothing further has yet been announced. In terms of Harrogate Town, I don't think they've brought in any more new signings. Maybe we didn't mention Reece Smith, a 23-year-old left winger who's come in from Maidenhead on a free transfer. Obviously, they've also recently announced the addition of Sean McCulsky from Maidenhead as well. Reece Smith is not really a player that I know too much about, but could he potentially be the Ellis Taylor replacement? They have had a departure. Dean Cornelius turned down a new deal with the club to sign at Fort Ross County. I'm not 100% sure if they're in the Scottish Premiership or Championship, but obviously 24-year-old central midfielder has gone there on a free transfer. MK Dons, I think we already knew that they brought in Rashane Hepburn-Murphy for an undisclosed fee from Crawley, but it has since been announced that Aaron Collins has joined the club on a permanent deal, undisclosed fee, around £1 million is the rumour. 28 years of age, was Bolton's top scorer in League One last campaign, a real statement signing for the franchise. I can't believe they managed to pull that off. There's rumours of 12, 15, 17 grand a week being thrown around at the moment. Yes, they've got a lot of money. I think they're 8th richest owners in English football, but goodness me, that is an absolutely incredible signing. And I think one week Nathaniel Mendes-Lang, he'll win the player of the season, then Dylan Markande, now Aaron Collins. It could be any of them. There's some real talent in League Two next year. And at the time of recording, MK Dons have yet to announce any further departures. In terms of Newport County, they've brought in Lee Jenkins, a 23-year-old centre-half from Harvard West. No idea about him, but he's come in on a free transfer. Jed Garner has joined the club as well on a free transfer from Barrow, 26-year-old centre-forward. He'll be looking for a bit of a home because he's been passed around more than Bonnie Blue, really, hasn't he, over the last couple of years. We knew about Nick Zanev and Matt Smith, who've gone in there as well. In terms of departures out of Newport, I don't think anything else has been confirmed. Notts County, they haven't made any more signings as well since we last spoke, but as we knew, Charlie Whittaker, who was released by the club, has signed for a new fellow League Two side. Tom Pett has joined Oldham Athletic on a permanent transfer. I'm not sure if this was actually one that I missed from last week, but obviously was on loan there last campaign, played a big part in their playoff final win against Southend. I want to say was a big part of just their promotion success in general, and at 33 years of age I think will provide a wealth of experience. And Kane Drummond has also returned to the club on a permanent deal. I think was there on loan last season. 24-year-old centre forward, don't think really cut the mustard at Chesterfield, but could prove to be a okayish option for Oldham. I don't think they've had any further departures. I think actually Mark Kitchen has turned down a new deal with the club and signed for York City, making that step back down into the National League. 29-year-old left back, I think it's one that just does make sense, in all honesty. In terms of Salford City, they're yet to have any further additions. Marcus Dackers, who I think was released by the club, has joined Kilmarnock over in the Scottish Premiership. In terms of Shrewsbury, they are yet to make any further additions as of right now, but there is strong rumours of Will Boyle at this moment in time, and I don't think they've had any further departures. Morgan Feeney, I'm pretty sure, was released by the club and he's joined Carlisle in the National League. He's returned there after a two-year spell with the Salop. Swindon Town are yet to do any further transfer business, but Trammere Rovers did confirm the signing of Charlie Whittaker, a 21-year-old attacking midfielder, following his release from Notts County. I do think there is a good player in Charlie Whittaker, but I think it needs to be in a side that haven't really got that massive of expectation. I think Tranmere, after the season they've just had, will be hoping for an around a mid-table finish, maybe with an outside chance of pushing towards those playoffs, whereas Notts County, they're going to need to be winning that. Winning the title realistically should be their aim. With the managerial appointment, I think they'll be looking to finish in the top half, but they've got to be aiming for at least the top 7 next campaign, so I think that could prove to be a smart pickup for Tranmere. They've not had any further departures. In terms of Walsall, I think we have already mentioned all of their additions so far, as we know that Ryan STIRK turned down the new deal with the club to sign for fellow League Two side Chesterfield, and that concludes this week's transfer business. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 120 likes as I mentioned at the start of today's video, and don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. What do you believe has been the best piece of business completed over the last 7 days, and how would you assess your clubs at transfer window so far? Thank you all for watching, have a great rest of your day, and we'll be back to normal, not in these foreign lands, for next week's episode. Thank you all for watching.